settled and which provided the foundation of this modern world or current civilization, which is primarily led by the advancement of the Western materialist world, and no denying the fact that they have done some marvelous achievements on the account of material progress. But at the same time, all these progresses have generated multiple or many conflicts around the world, around the globe, which in my opinion primarily is related to its question of identity, but that identity is in a subtle way shaped up and translated more in economic and political terms and the governance structure. And that masquerading and designing of a new governance arrangement has given birth to new challenges. And those challenges are enunciated into the agreed narrative of the global communication framework. You hear about non-state actors, state actors, as if they are all gospel truth and have divine sanctions behind such narrative. But they are the settled communicating tools for the current day and time. When we reach post-Second World War, when the decolonization almost finalized, other than few more years post-Second World War, early 60s was almost done with the decolonization. A new interaction and engagement between these nation states, which had its roots in their respective empires, and those empires converged and morphed into these nation states. They gave shape recently to the Cold War, and then post-1990 on the collapse of Soviet Union and the socialist system. It was cleverly linked with the triumph of democracy and the triumph of capitalism, and an era of unilateralism led by United States along with the rest of the Western Hemisphere, was run for almost 2 decades. By the advent of millennium, I think so the realization of more of multilateralism grew, and that multilateralism and people started talking about, as we saw a new resurgent Russia, the rise of China, coming of India as a major economic power, forums later on like BRICS. So they all generated this new conversation and referral points about the multilateralism. Where do we fit in? Where do we fit in all of this saga? I think so we are a mid-sized country which has its own challenges deep-rooted in our history, in our own question of identity. Pakistan was craved out from a larger South Asian family on the basis of its identity as a faith-based group. A large time they craved out a new country for themselves. There were themes where people were for the creation of Pakistan amongst the Muslim, and there were people who were not that much for the creation of Pakistan amongst the Muslims. The people associated with the Congress or Ulama Deoband and so on and so forth. But then you see the intellectual, I would call him an emblem for a light for the people of South Asia in the form of Iqbal, Dr. Iqbal, along with the practical leadership of Qaeda Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who did advocate, and not just advocated, they made it realize and turned into a tangible reality, and we got this great country of Pakistan. Post-creation, 70 years, we have some internal challenges which has cracked our national unity prior to 1970. We saw the bifurcation of this country into two major components. And later on, the western part, which is today's Pakistan, did rise again to the occasion and has transformed itself into a viable economy, a viable state which has its own defense capabilities, not just capable security apparatus, but it transformed itself where the external aggression has almost gone to minimum due to our own strategic weapons and rest of the achievements which we did in the coming years. Pakistan's economic progress is one of an area which is still, I think so, needs more attention, and it needs where it could be realized according to its potential. A country of 250 million people almost, with a huge population under 30, almost 65%. That energy needs to be channelized, that energy needs to be tapped and translated economically, which I still feel is underinvested. We have underinvested in our human resource, we have underinvested in our skill development and other areas. But when I'm saying underinvested, it does not mean that it is utmost poor. It still has done a wave of industrialization. It still has a huge population who can speak English language, which provides a supply chain to the global service market, responding to the domestic needs, and a very important diaspora around the Western Hemisphere, GCC countries, and other areas. So there is a sizable section of the population which is economically contributing and making this state viable. It is not that bad a story. When I'm saying underinvested, by that I mean that we can do more. A country full of natural resources, a country filled with its water resources, a country filled with its land resource. So these are the areas which can be translated, and it could be brought in as a huge economic success story. I think so we are on that path. We are directing our nation and society towards that ultimate destiny, and I'm sure it will take some time. It's challenging, but we will reach there. Along with that, we do reside in an environment where these new emerging security challenges, which some of them are directly related to Pakistan and some of them are indirectly related to Pakistan. Creation of organizations like Quad and Quad Plus. The prime target probably of Indo-Pacific strategy is not Pakistan in itself, but the rising China, or the so-called containment of China, and Pakistan being viewed as a strategic ally with that has its own implications for us. It does have challenges for us, and it has opportunities for our arch rival on the eastern side, India. India is, in my opinion, flirting with the Western Hemisphere, offering itself to be the lead player with its, of course, huge population base, who can play a lead role to contain Chinese rise. When this so-called containment policy initiated, probably somewhere in the mid-90s or early 90s, Chinese economy was 8th or 9th largest economy of the world. And by the time this containment policy got its shape and got its framework, be it in shape of AUKUS or other Quad Plus, whatever the frameworks are, they have reached second largest economy of the world. So the journey of that rising is continuing. And to thwart that is not happening. And probably it's just around the corner when the dragon would be the first largest economy of the world. And as I see it, that this so-called competition is not strategic, it's more or less economic. And if it is pure in nature and economic competition, then that competition is being turned into a triumph or on a winnable option by the other side. So what are the options? To turn it into a strategic competition, to turn it into a hot pursuit option or competition? I guess the answer is no. The answer is no for the global peace and stability. And there is no incentive in this conflict for the countries like ourselves. Pakistan do not incentivize conflict. On the other hand, we feel that in region,